thank you for being here. Good morning, right? Still morning. Just I'm Jeff Nasse. I know some of you. I'm the Dean for Academic Resources and Writing Programs here on the North Campus. Academic Resources, of course, includes our Academic Success Center, as well as our library, and as well as the English department for writing programs, all kind of under one area. This is my colleague from South Campus, Dr. Rolando Garcia. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Jeff's counterpart, the better looking one. And and the cool thing is, yes, we oversee the library, we oversee the Academic Success Center at South. We also see assessment services, which in most other places is called testing. So we oversee testing, and we also have a creative media group, kind of like Jeff has in his shop as well. And so pretty much that's about it.
So today we're going to talk just a little bit of background here for those of you that aren't familiar with the college, and you may have heard this yesterday during the tours. Broward College has 3 major campuses. Each of those campuses have some satellite centers that report to them, and each of the campuses has a dean for this area, for academic resources, the library, and the Academic Success Center. Hi. So we wanted to talk to you. Rolando was very excited when I told him we'd be leading a presentation on wigs.
For obvious reasons.
So here we are. The wigs are really referred to, of course, as wildly important goals. This is something that our college has really put some emphasis on. It's a process of looking at data in order for the college to achieve its strategic goals. So we're going to talk about how the Academic Success Centers at Broward College have really used the work that we do in terms of achieving the strategic imperatives for the college. It's really built in. So it's a great benefit to our areas. We're a big part of how our college operates in terms of student success.
Great stuff. Not working for you?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we'll talk first a little bit about the institution's strategic alignment in terms of the Academic Success Center and how that works for us each day. And then we'll look at some actual data that we look at on a weekly, as well as we get to the end of term, some student success data. We have some data from the fall that we'll present in terms of student success. And I would be remiss, look at the bottom there, if we didn't mention, as I said, this is all part of the strategic plan of the college, and Paul Nolte kind of referred to this. We have great integration at Broward College with our friends in academic affairs. You know, the academic departments, the faculty, our institutional research, we're all kind of working around these issues each week. Okay. Not to spend a whole lot of time on our strategic plan, but this is one thing I did want to point out is our work in the Academic Success Center and frankly the libraries as well are built right into some strategic goals. So 1.2 talks about increasing student participation in support programs. We were looking at 20% was kind of the goal. Now support programs is more than our work in the Academic Success Center. It could include things like early alert in terms of how that's defined. But that is one of our charges, you know, as an institution. This is the big one when we think about our wildly important goals, and we'll talk about the 4 disciplines of execution process in a second, where that term, WIGS, wildly important goals, kind of comes out. But we have really made an effort to look at those low success rates and high enrolled courses. We have 12 of them at the college that we look at each week, to see where they're at and how they're doing. Right. And as Dr. Nolte referred to today, same thing, accounting, English, a lot of math, and science, excuse me. And the third thing was using our community college survey of student engagement is to get students in out-of-class academic support events. So I'd say about 2 years ago, or a little over a year and a half ago, the college went on a 4 disciplines of execution, began to implement this model. It's a book that talks about, and we read, of course, a lot of leadership and management books and how to get, move the needle, if you will, But this was a way of really getting us to look at data and achieve those goals that we just had there in terms of strategic goals. So just to talk about how this process went, we looked at the strategic plan and we said, you know, okay, what's one thing we want to do? Well, one thing was to increase the success rates in those top 12 courses. Okay, that's what we would consider a lag indicator, something that we want at the end of the term. But meanwhile, each week, what can we look at that might help us as a lead indicator? And one of those things was participation of those students in the top 12 courses in Academic Success Center services. And just a little bit about what our ASCs offer. Like I said, we have them on each of the major campuses and on several of what we call centers, which are smaller, if you will, satellites to centers. Of course, we offer things like tutoring in a variety of areas, but we also have our academic support labs. For example, on the North Campus ASC, we have both our math center, our writing center. We have technology centers where students can, of course, go in and use computers, print, and all that stuff, but also get assistance with PowerPoint, Excel, kind of those things that they're working on all the time. We have technology checkout services. We have textbook reserves. Ours happens to be housed inside the library as well as on central campuses. So the idea is kind of comprehensive learning support services in one building. We can't get everything in one building all the time. For example, South's Library is not in the same building, but it's next to it. So those are some of the things. So we said if we can get students in these top 12 courses into the ASCs, each week we could kind of monitor that, and then hopefully by the end of the term, we can see that it's impacting student success in these courses. So the 4DX model is we kind of focus on a wildly important goal. And so for us, it was all about top 12, and that's been great because we had some focus. I do know when I talk to some deans in the other areas, they kind of feel like they're left out, they're not on the wings, but we do have that. And then we create a compelling scorecard. And we're going to pass out an example of a more recent one that really looked at these top 12 courses in terms of participation. And then there was the action. Okay, we can see 10 students in accounting went to the North Campus ASC this week. What are we going to do about it? And so we really went on, there's a Dean's Council, a campaign college-wide to drive students into our Academic Success Center. We work with we went to Faculty Senate. We created a syllabus statement. So on all the syllabi, there was, that's me.
In the meantime, there's a question over here. Let me go ahead and take that.
Yeah, what are the top 12 courses? I might have missed that when I was out.
The dirty dozen, as I like to call them, are actually on that list. Really for the credit courses, it's the gateway courses. So you'll see ENC 1101, you'll see MAT 1033, MAC 1114. Accounting is on there. CGS 1060 is on there for some reason.
Really?
But the majority, strangely enough, yes. But the majority of them are math and science.
Statistics. Yeah.
Is it 1102? Is it on here?
1102 is not one of the.
Not on every meeting. Okay, thank you.
But you'll see the actual scorecard. That's actually the scorecard from this past week. So.
Yeah, 5 on 10 almost make about half. It's like 5 on 12.
Yeah. So STEM, a lot of STEM focus. So.
And even that process at a large college was, well, what goes on the top? It started as 10, went to 11, 12. I think we recently talked about 14 now.
Yeah, it was.
What belongs
we
on
went to
there?
10.
Right.
We went into it thinking top 10. Fantastic. That's easy. And then people have pet courses that they like, so that's how we ended up with the negotiated 12. I just call it the dirty dozen.
For example,
it's cool.
Trigonometry is on the list. There's been a lot of discussion on it because it doesn't belong there. It's not really considered a high enrollment.
Well, that's really not a gateway
Right.
course for most of our students.
And we concentrated resources as a college on getting students in these areas to the ASCs for support. And maybe that's part of that battle is, they're getting more attention for those things. And it was really a comprehensive effort. We're sending tutors into classrooms, and we've really made a push, and Rolando will present some data that will show term to term. We really were able to move the needle in terms of, one, getting students there, and then, of course, showed you how it kind of panned out for us.
All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the data we saw. This is fall 2014, so that was this past semester. What happened at the state level that really impacted
1720.
1720, everybody's favorite bill. Okay, so what did we see? Overall, we had 201,000 visits as a college to our academic success centers. We looked at the unduplicated headcount of students using the services. 22,401 unduplicated students using those services. So more or less, students come in about 9 times a semester. And when we looked at hours, roughly each visit is about an hour. Yes?
What track system are you using here in Nasse?
We actually have a home-built system, which we are dying to move away from. Because, turn off the camera. It is a home-built system. It was really designed many years ago, and it hasn't been maintained as well as we would like as a group to capture some of the deeper data that we want. But right now, so we can capture visits, and we've tried to innovate it. We have iPads, we have swipe, right? So we can do mobile pop-up tutoring. We can go on location in different places. In fact, our model in the ASC, a lot of it is a tutor greets you the moment you come in, not them waiting, and then they'll get you into the system. But pretty much it is a swipe-based system.
Students select from a drop-down.
Right, so they pick
why
their
they're
course. Right, and it's everything in their schedule. So in some cases, they're picking that they're coming in for online courses. There's data I'm not going to present here, but we know that a large number of our online students are coming to our campuses for services. So interesting stuff. So what you're seeing here, there's 2 things. You're looking at enrollment. So enrollment in the top 12 courses is the blue and the red combined. The blue demonstrates the number of students utilizing the Academic Success Center. Red are the non-users. So you can see from fall to fall what happened. We went from 9% to 35%. But unduplicated headcount of users, you went from 2,600 students to 11,560.
These are top 12.
Top 12.
The top numbers overall, these are top 12 courses.
So in 1 year, that's about a 330% increase in the students, unduplicated headcount of
Does your
students.
does your home built system get you this or IRE gets?
IRPEA.
Or what?
Right. And here it's IRPEA because we couldn't tack on more letters. They pull the data from the system for us and they give it to us. So it's not like it's questioning like what numbers are we looking at. Automatically, every Monday morning, they pull the data for all of our centers across the college. They build this scorecard here, and this is what we use as the common ground to analyze the data.
And who told them to do that?
We did.
And they did.
And they did.
Yeah, and again, this is a college-wide thing,
Yeah,
but we have a dean's council, and we said, okay, we need a scorecard that kind of looks at this.
And honestly, we are perhaps one of the only dean councils that have been able to come together, come to an agreement, say this is the base we're all going to measure. Now, we do individual pet things that we monitor
Sure.
for our campuses, but this is what we agreed college-wide that we wanted to do. We met with IR, we met with IT, and we said this is what we need and this is what we want. And they've been giving it to us.
One of the great things of the 4 disciplines of execution model is the idea of a common scorecard. We're all reading from the same page, so that way we have a better assessment of what we're doing and if it's working. And that's always a balance, a struggle, because sometimes as we're looking at scorecards, we do want to add things that we're doing. But this is one that has remained and is an essential place. That is a common scorecard that we all look at.
Right, and that's how we started reporting this data. So what you're seeing here is actually from a presentation we made to our college's learning council and to our board of trustees in terms of use of the Academic Success Center. So this is just what happened from fall to fall. Okay, so we got to 20% overall, but depending on what you're talking about 20%, because if you look at head count, we got 330%. So it's always interesting when you start talking about numbers and what it is you're trying to say. But our strategic goal was a 20% increase, and that's what we got in raw percentage. So how did this translate in terms of student success? So one of the things that we often talk about is student success, well, withdrawal, keeping students engaged, keeping them in the courses. And what we see here is that students who come in and use the services in the center, across the board, stay in their courses. So we help with retention and persistence. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know this. But think about it, for some of these students, especially the online students that are coming in, we might be the only people that see them.
Just because you asked about the top 12, so here's accounting, bio, this is anatomy and physiology, 2085, computer science, and here are the 3 chemistries, composition 1, and then you got your math courses here. But yeah, you can see the withdrawal rates, these are college-wide numbers, were higher.
Yeah.
The students that didn't come withdrew at a higher rate.
So we know that they're staying in their courses. Are they doing better in their courses? And that's when it comes to the final rate. So when we look at it across the board, every single student that came in, used our services, they did better than those that did not. I know it's crazy, tutoring works, but here it is. So across the board, if you look at it, students are doing better. In some cases, really much better. Chem 32, this is a course a lot of our nursing students take. Overall, I think when you break it down, it's like 0.4 of a grade of a letter. So about half a grade letter. That swings a lot both ways between. That's a D to C, C to B, yes.
Does this account for frequency of students engaging with your services, or is it if anyone comes, bam, they're in the ASC group?
I actually will show you some data on frequency of visits and what happens to their success rate if they come in more than once. So I have that on here. That'll be like 2 slides now. Actually, no, it's this one. All right, so are they successful in their courses? Well, the blue indicates across the board, except for a couple of weirdos, that they are more successful in their courses. Okay, the silver is what happens when they come to the center 2 or more times. And when you look at the silver, you'll see significant gains compared to those that don't come in. And even in the courses where we saw something like a negative
Trig.
this is trig.
Yeah.
You can see if they came in for tutoring, if I look at it overall, it looks like I should be putting up a beware sign. Tutoring going on, don't come in because you'll do worse. However, the moment you pull out the 1 visits, these are people who just showed up once, could be week 13, class is over in 2. Once you pull those out, the success rate was actually 62% in trig.
And at Broward, success is 0, but
Right. Now look at MAT 1033. This is the gateway map. We have a 60% success rate. This is counting all the students who opted out of dev and they're coming in. So if they come into our center 2 or more times, 60% at the college. That's fantastic. It's hard to put in perspective. These are your most difficult students in those math courses. So statistics 72. Yes.
Do you advertise that to students?
We just finished the analysis and we are definitely going to be marketing this. We decided to market it to the board first though. Because we have to hit them up for some money. So yes, absolutely, we will be using this for marketing. Yes.
Were you able to measure beyond 2, like how many visits you begin to get diminishing?
right.
Numbers?
Yeah, there's diminishing
Like
because they have
6
the
or
money
7
system.
visits. Did we able to? Yeah.
I have it broken down. What we did is we created a couple categories. We created the one category,
Yeah.
then the 2 to 5, and then the 6 to 10, and then the 11 or more. And you start seeing, once you start getting into like the 6 to 10 and the 11, that you get somewhat of a diminishing. The magic number seems to be somewhere from 5, 6 or so, somewhere in there. Yeah.
This is very comparable to SI data, like 5 visits is like the magic number.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're seeing. I mean, we would love to delve into what they're doing during those visits to see which ones have what the highest. But, where can we find a system that can track that kind of stuff? I know it's out, there's systems out there. But
Do any of your courses require them to visit the center?
No, you mean
Like
like,
part of
like a
their-
mandate, like you
part of their-
must, we would love.
Like
that.
part of their grade, like so many hours there or whatever?
And see, hours is maybe not a good measure, and I'll let Jeff, because he.
Just in terms of the mandate, nothing wide. Sometimes we have professors that will mandate within there, but nothing in terms of departmental wide. I will say though, in the discipline labs, particularly in English and math, there's, my writing lab is a requirement in like the English composition. A lot of students go to the lab to work on it. It's not, but it's not an inherent requirement that they do so. To get it in. We also, in terms of promoting it, we do have, like on the syllabus statement, for example, that we provide to faculty, we say something like, statistics show that students who use the Academic Success Center are more successful than those who do not.
That's on every syllabus?
We provide the faculty, they have the
Yeah.
option to include it, but a lot of them.
Yeah, and
many
if
do.
you look
We don't
at the
require
bargaining
it.
agreement
We can't require our
environment, you can recommend. You can say, this would be cool if you would put this on there. So that's what we kind of do. And somebody, not here, but in a prior presentation asked me, well, what's the number of people coming in 2 or more times? Well, the unduplicated headcount people who came in more than 2 times, 7,549. These are not small numbers we're talking about. As I pointed out to somebody, this is larger than the number of community colleges in the country. Not in Florida, because all we have are massive, huge community state colleges here, but around different parts of the country, 7,000 is a huge college. So this is what we saw for the success data.
It's very interesting to say the English and the math, those those
Yeah.
particular ones, where
Yeah,
students used to go developmental. And I'm curious though, because obviously reading fell away, but they must be incorporating in the tutoring sessions, reading.
well, one of the interesting things that happened around the same time is that for ENC 1101, now there's a mandated, it's which product, my writing lab
Yeah.
is mandated as part of the course, so they have that. Alex is mandated for MAT 1033, so they also have that tool. Now, of course, that means those students are coming into our lab and using the software,
Right.
and our tutors are helping.
You're right about the reading though. It's
Yeah.
interesting to think about, that it's not like all of a sudden all our students are great readers. They're not required now to take those courses, and how do we address those needs?
Especially in math, many of them have, and we just came from another lecture, the difficulty is they can't read well, so they can't analyze the problem. So if somewhere along the line, the reading skills have to come in on an underlying basis.
And see, we have we're rolling out academic coaching, where some of that will be incorporated. In fact, we'll be doing college-wide training for everybody else. Where we have one person that became certified through NTA, is a certified coach, and it's like 900 hours of training to get that certification. Actually, it's more than 75, but I like to exaggerate. So the person has gone through, has become a trainer, and will be training folks around college. Starting with the North Campus folks, because Jeff is going to bring my arm if I know. So, but yeah, those are things that we're looking at, and I think where we put it in with the academic coaches, they can help. And in our case, it's actually our reading lab coordinator.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, he's a fantastic person for that, and he has the right mindset and the right personality.
And of course, there's always a discussion, right, in learning assistance. We never established that, said that the ASC is causing this success, right? We're just saying that, and the academic folks are quick to say that, well, you already have the good students going over there.
Right, it's only the good students that come to us.
We're very much aware of that, the descriptive nature, but it is some positive information.
And I mean, and you can run some analysis. I mean, you can look at frequencies versus, expected versus observed, and run a chi-square on it. So you can do stuff like that with it. There's a million and one things that we all try, right? Everybody's bombarded with a million and one strategies. But we know that with everything else that's going on, if they come in, the students that come in do better. So that's the way we point out. I guess we're bombarding everybody with these strategies, but when they come in here, you see the success rate. So this is just a brief synopsis on the gains. So the top number that you see in each of these ping pong balls is the increasing success rate. The negative number is the decrease in withdrawal rates, and then the last number is the increase in GPA. So we grouped them up. The dark blue are where we saw double-digit gains. So CGS 1060, Chem 1032, statistics. So 2 cams of bio, so STEM is well represented where we saw the double-digit gains. This was looking at, ASC versus non-ASC. If I would have pulled down just the 2+ visits, everybody would be blue or red. Well, not red. Red is not good. Red is where we saw, right, red is where we saw the decline. So Gen Bio, minus 3%, no, 0.3%, so not even full percentage. Wasn't good, but you saw once we pulled out that one visit, that rectified itself. And then same thing with MAC 1114. It looked like there was minus 6% success rate if they came in. But when you pulled out the one visit, it was actually 6%, so that's a 13 point swing the other way, but just by pulling out the one visit.
And even in the reds, where the success rate maybe isn't where we wanted it, and again, this is just one visit, and we talked about that. The withdrawal rate, retention for biology and even trade was in a good place.
And GPAs across the board increased for everybody. So even if they came in and may not have passed, but they did better than that.
So if you look at the scorecard in front of you, just take a look at what we look at in terms of the WIG. So our WIG calls happen every single Wednesday at 8:15, or 8:30, excuse me.
They started at 8:30, but I mean, some of us get there early.
Right. And so we will look first at, and you can see we have winter 2013, winter 2014, so we kind of got 2 years, and then we'll go into the Broward College average. And so you can see the total on the far right there. So 32% of the top 12 cohort, which is 8,685 students, have shown up to an academic success center somewhere in these areas. And then we'll kind of look at the campus breakdowns, and you can see what's happening where. And what is interesting, and Rolando, you touched on this, if you go to page 2, our winter online campus, Broward has also a completely online campus. If you look at in biology, anatomy and physiology, 80% of those taking those classes fully online come into our centers. They want that face-to-face instruction. So we're seeing as we talk with our partners on the online college, because quite frankly, they struggle sometimes with student success rates. And they're thinking, okay, well, if they have this face-to-face option of going in, maybe we can really kind of bump those. We didn't include them. So we don't have that.
We did in one of the other presentations that we did, where, I mean, it's amazing when those students come into a center, their success rate is the same as the regular on-campus classes. So classes that have horrible success rates online, that disappears the moment that the student comes to the campus and uses the center. So I have it in another presentation. I mean, if you have time, I can pull that one up.
Is blended an indicator online?
Blended is not.
Campus-based.
It's campus-based, so it would be included with the campus data. However, I know that one of the things that we want to do, and this was probably on the next slide, which is next steps, is we want to start breaking out by sessions and by delivery methods. So, are there any more questions on this ping pong ball type slide?
In terms of, and I would say this as fellow learning assistants advocates, I use this too in our campus discussion. So I can always quickly say, well, listen, I have 50, whatever, where am I in accounting? North Campus. 96 of the 212 students enrolled in accounting are using my academic success center services. I have 2 accounting tutors. I need more accounting tutors.
Yeah.
If you want me to move this number up, 2 accounting tutors can only do so much. So it is good from a conversation standpoint, just kind of show, and also within the disciplines. Faculty like to see kind of where and we're talking about, how many of your students are in kind of these numbers. and Professor Garcia, none of his students are coming to the
All of
to
them.
the
All of them show
AAC,
up.
or all of them. And so you start to have those conversations, and then, of course, the end game is always, we want to help the students learn to be successful in those courses.
How, so if you meet every Wednesday, how long, or I guess, how many meetings or how much data would it take for you to actually make some kind of change or decision?
Well, honestly, I mean.
You're reacting.
Yeah, I mean, we react really week to week. Like, we start seeing that the participation is dropping, we'll have outreach strategies. Okay, let's contact the faculty, let's get classroom visits, let's see how we can help, but the outreach is with the faculty.
If it's
We also
if
market.
it's very high and you don't have enough staff, would you hire somebody like midterm or maybe?
If we have the funding for it, yes, and now with all the data that we have, I can try and ask my campus president and say, hey, if you have a little extra money, throw it my way and we'll use it for this. But collecting this is what enables us to be successful getting the resources. Without any of this, it doesn't happen.
Just to follow up, this is this week. If I look on North Campus, Math 1033, I'm at 36%, so 423 out of my close to 1,200 students at 1033. To me, that's low. So I immediately, because we're kind of getting towards, there's still time for a lot of students in 1033, getting closer. I can call up the associate dean, he's seeing this and say, hey, can we get some more tutors into those classrooms to go to students and say, your final's coming up, the math center's here, it's open 7 days a week, please, So there is a lot of quick reaction. But the week to week sometimes, and that's an interesting part of the whole theory in the book. Yes, we're reacting. I think it's been very positive. But sometimes in long-term planning, I feel like we're just reacting quickly instead of kind of looking strategically.
And see, and I like to use the card analogy. Sometimes you need to know when to hold them and when to fold them. So there are things that I know will work, and I would be hesitant to start changing things right off the bat. I'd rather wait, give it another week or two, and see what the trend is, as opposed to saying this week it's down, and then if it rectifies itself right as midterms come, all of a sudden participation goes right back up. We know that there's peaks and valleys throughout the semester. The thing is, you don't want to make a knee-jerk reaction during one of those valleys, knowing that there's a peak coming right down the road. So I have a question here.
If I, as an instructor, required my students to put, let's say, an hour in your center, would you have a way to give me a report as to their fulfilling that requirement?
Yes, actually, all of our faculty have access to the tracking database, so they can pull up the number of visits for all of their students in their courses.
No, not the number, the person and how many
Right.
hours. So that all.
Yeah, you can see your class roster and it'll tell you
Each student.
each student.
And
Now,
I would do that. I would
Yes.
pull that report.
You can do
Of
that?
course, you have 300 students in your class, I heard you say that. So
I like it better when they send me that report.
Now, I mean, that's the thing, could we do that? I mean, if we had a better system that was a little bit more automated, yeah, we could. With, one of the strategies that we have at South for a number of courses that have a lab component is that we have a lab coordinator who looks at student participation in the lab component of their course. We send reports to the faculty member, to the students when they become inactive in the course. So that's something we do, but it's something you need to work out with the faculty and the discipline to agree to give the coordinator access to the course. Not everybody's willing to do that, but we've been able to do it for a number of our courses. And it's a strategy that works. It's a reminder to the faculty member, and it's a reminder to the student. Get active. Because we know if you're active in your in the lab component, you pass the lab component, your success rate in the class is about 70% for many of those courses. So this table here is just more of the same what we've presented. The only thing that's different here is the end. So you can actually see how many students in each of these courses. So let's look at ENC 1101, 8,517 unduplicated headcount of students. MAC 1105, 4,200. So these are huge numbers. Because people always like to throw, oh, is this significant? Well, yeah, these are huge numbers. And I mean, if you want to go, we can certainly run a statistical test and show you, yes, this is significant. Remember, our participation is measured against the enrollment. So we always have a proportion of the enrollment. So it can change. When new courses come online, our proportion can go down or up. But once, you know, the final session 4 classes for us start, that's it, pretty much. There's not going to be much more change.
Talk a little bit about how you've been able to grow so quickly, because you basically have 3 times the number of students coming through. In our case, at least our institution, space-wise, it's been a challenge. So, and hiring takes time. So how are you guys adjusting to that?
We are at a breaking point.
Yeah.
See, we were, yeah, I don't want to say, I mean, we weren't as heavily used, so we probably had more than enough resources at the time. But now, it's gotten to the point that enough students have come in that we are starting to feel the pain. And that's why now we need to go and ask for more resources. Now, last year when we were coming up with what would be the strategic goal, we were at a president's retreat, Jeff and I. And one of the things that we said at the table was, we can handle the 20% this year. If it becomes difficult or almost impossible to prepare, we will speak up and we will ask for it. The year is here, and we are ready to speak up and show the data and say, look, you know, we know this is a major strategy for the college. It improves success rates, it improves retention rates. This is one of the big bets for our college in terms of student success. We've spoken to Achieving the Dream coaches about this. This is one of the strategies where we need to invest in, and we're going to make that case.
You say how, it's been a lot of, and it depends on the campus, but it's a lot of, we just were lucky enough, we had the space renovated. That just was finished in August, so that accommodated us. They actually have a fairly new building.
Yeah, we've added, now here's the difficulty with us. We have centers that we have to cover that are 6 miles away, 8 miles away, and it's the same tutors rotating out to the centers. And we had a new center that came online out in Miramar West. So yes, there's new enrollment, so then there's more course user fees, so you can hire more tutors. But still, you know, when we hire, it's not like we can hire enough tutors to really provide coverage at every single center at the same level that we have at our main campus. But we try and do our best. We work with the faculty out there, and we actually monitor usage rates at those center locations as well. So we can try and plan around what times they need and you know, try and accommodate them. Yes?
Yeah. In terms of looking forward, so piggybacking on her question, because based on your model, I'm sure you're going to keep growing. So have you all looked at like integrating technologies into the whole tutoring scheme? Because you can't keep adding tutors to the payroll. There's a point at which, you know, Jeff, you would have some problems if you have to keep asking for money, right? So, I mean, in terms of integration, because, I mean, it's a problem for us at FIU as well. You know, we want to start thinking about how we can better integrate technologies to help with the, you know, tutoring. Like what that guy spoke of in the keynote, I'm forgetting his last name. Use of apps, right?
Right.
Yeah, younger generations, they're very comfortable with studying on a phone. Okay?
Sure. There's a lot of conversation. We do have some technology. We are a smart thinking, you know, thing. It's interesting though, and this is anecdotal. I know a lot of our students, they use their apps, and some of them are comfortable to some degree. Some of them are not so technological. I mean, all our online students are coming in to talk with you. But we were always thinking about those things, technology. But again, it's about, you know, the board trustees member who was leaving asked me, you know, well, what would you need? I mean, my first reaction always is people.
You need boots on the ground. In any major campaign, you need boots on the ground. So, not that I'm a military guy, he's the military guy. So he would be able to tell you more. But, you know, we have looked at technology. For example, when we have to provide service to another location, we can hold a link session with our tutor at our main campus using Link. But we would have, you know, we would schedule that. Now we have study rooms with link cameras and collaborative, you know, tables where they can connect and plug in. So we have that technology, but it's also getting our students to have the comfort level using it.
That is so true. I teach college algebra online. I've done it for years. And that's the one thing we had Blackboard, Lemonade, and they just, you know, I made it required, I made it voluntary. I sent them emails, let's meet, nothing. They just, I think there's a little bit of apprehension about that. And I don't know that that's always for everybody.
And see, that's one of the things we try to do. We have our own computer labs, I call it the Student Technology Center, maybe Jeff will change his name sometime soon, but, in which I like to mess with him, he's fun. So one of the things we want to do is we want to get students to get comfortable with technology, and that's really the focus for the center. It's not just a place where they can come in and use a computer and we're babysitting. It's a place where there's actually technology fluency training going on, and we have workshops. We're trying to get them to use applications for academic purposes. So that's, one of the strategies that we're trying, but the focus right now is really to beef up tutoring and academic coaching, and then as we have resources and time, build up a technology fluency piece.
We're always looking around. I like conferences like this because I like to see what technology is really out there that I think could make a real difference. That's true. I get a lot of vendors, and so we have smart things, but some of our students like the face-to-face link
They're doing something.
better because they know the tutor, and it's a little bit more. So it's interesting.
It was Skyping on one of the campuses too.
So where next, Jeff? Show?
Where next? This guy. A couple of things I think we've talked about as a college and as a council is we're interested in longitudinal data, of course. How does ASC participation impact graduation rates, time to completion? Those are, especially with performance funding kind of out there in the state of Florida. How does ASC participation, I think the college as a whole is interested in impacting those long-term models. We're also very interested in types of interventions. We know if they come in that we're seeing some of this, but what's working best and also for different populations of students. We heard today about veterans, what works best for them, all kinds of different demographic. We have a minority male initiative here at the college. How can we best impact certain populations? What's working maybe better than, like you said, just coming into the academic success center?
Yeah, and in terms of longitudinal things, we want to see that these students are becoming independent learners. So that's part of looking at their long-term success, but also looking, maybe there's a decrease in their visits to the academic center as they become more independent. They don't need as many visits. Obviously, we're still going to be getting new students coming into the pipeline, so we're still going to remain busy, but the goal is really to teach them the skills they need to be independent and be able to solve their own answers. Because our tutoring center is not open at midnight. They're stuck. Who's going to help them? So smart thinking can, but not everybody chooses to use the platform. So as much as we can work on providing those skills, that's something we talk about, reading skills, test anxiety reduction. So there's things that we can do longitudinally. And as far as
I'm curious about longitudinal studies. Does your institution have a mechanism where, say that the cohort students who has come through and they've used the services, is there some kind of a marker on their record so they can look at them, when they reach the end of their experience and you see what their overall success was?
That is certainly something that we can request. Right now, I don't think there are things like that, like there's retention tracking courses where there's a designator. There really isn't one where it says you are an ASC using a course, because really everybody can use the ASC, but it's something where obviously they can track the success rate.
St. Pete College has something that's like live.
Pulse BI.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I went to their moving the needle conference, and
So,
I never seen the tool. It's an impressive dashboard. It's a real-time.
What is it called?
Dashboard. It's called Pulse BI.
it's real-time data.
Real-time data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it's a fantastic tool.
We want it.
I wish we had it. Trust me, I'm advocating for it, especially because it's something that can get put together right away.
But that's so true. Our relationship with IRPA, we know them all well and we work. And but it's kind of like we need more.
Like the data analysis that you see, really, we analyze the data. We ask them to provide it to us, and then we'll go in and we'll make sense. Because really, what IRPA, what they need is context, and they can't necessarily put things in the same context that we can. But they can certainly obtain the data for us, and then we can tell you what these numbers mean in terms of our operation. And that's what we try to do, which is really go out and educate our campus presidents, other deans, faculty, the board trustees, whoever needs to be educated in terms of what it is we're doing and what's the impact. And so we're trying to use this data for funding models, looking at ways that we can refine our delivery of services as well. And looking at where else we can use this kind of tracking in our other areas. Like I have testing. I'm certainly interested in looking at testing and how it can tie into CTE programs and credentialing, and using the same thing where there's a scorecard and we can monitor and track some of that stuff. So the 4DX process works. Honestly, it works best when it's done passively. Like you don't have to be running 1,000 reports where the scorecard comes to you and then you can analyze it. Because if you're spending the time having to pull the reports, that takes away from the thinking and planning and analyzing piece. Yes, you had a question? No, I thought it was you.
No, I'm good.
All right, can you make up a question?
No, I think we're right there in terms of time. Any more questions? And thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it.
I would like to